Welcome, everybody, back to the Deposit That podcast. Today, we're sitting here with Jonathan Eppers, CEO of Vybes. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here.
So we have our intro song we're going to play for you. It's a throwback from when I was in high school. Me and my best friend Shane used to listen to this probably 75 times a day. So the first thing people hear of when they think CBD is illegal drugs, marijuana, I get high, I'm against it. I want you to first debunk that myth and explain how CBD is different than actually smoking marijuana.
Yeah, so what makes you high is the chemical THC, which everyone's familiar with, whether you smoke it or ingest it through an edible or consume it in some other way. But CBD is another one of the cannabinoids, and we still haven't discovered all the cannabinoids within the plant, but we know CBD and THC are two of them. Unlike THC, which has psychoactive effects on the body, CBD has none. So you can take as much CBD as you want, and you won't get high.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Your tolerance, type of person you are, race, nothing.
That's right. Like for example, in our beverages, we use CBD isolate, and CBD isolate just means it's the isolated version of the chemical CBD.
Is that the most pure version?
That's the most pure version. So there's no other cannabinoids in there. So there's no chance of getting high or failing a drug test.
Interesting. So if somebody in the NFL drank one of these drinks, which you sent me a ton of, and I drink one daily, and it's so hard because you can't just have one sip. Like I anticipated coming here with a full bottle, and by the time I got on the train, it was already empty, right? So if someone in the NFL or NBA drinks one of your Vybes drinks with CBD in it, they will not fail a drug test.
We actually have had NFL players drink our product,
Oh, wow.
I don't really understand and fully know the NFL's position on CBD today.
They're still against it.
They're still against it.
Yeah.
But if an athlete did drink Vybes, unless the league is testing for the cannabinoid CBD, they would not fail a drug test.
So recently I got introduced to a guy who's starting his own football league called the Freedom Football League. He's anticipating closing out his first funding round, and he's doing it like, a VC tech startup, bringing former players in. And Ricky Williams is one of the guys. He's actually, they're based out of LA, who's endorsing the league, and he's one of the partners of the league, one of the co-founders. And he flat out came out and said, all my teammates, the majority of my teammates were getting hooked on painkillers, pills, taking shots that messed their body up. He's like, I smoked weed because I ran the ball 40 times a game and I ran as hard as I could. So do you think eventually CBD gets into sports more dominantly, and is the recovery actually proven to be that much better?
I absolutely do. It's already there. I mean, I can't say his name.
Rob
Gronkowski from the Patriots retired and just got behind a CBD brand, which has brought a lot of credibility, I think, to the category. And I think, people are looking for alternatives to pain medications because of the addiction to pain medications and all the side effects.
I think we all know somebody that got hooked on it.
And I think, CBD is one of those natural relievers of pain. The question, what we don't know, we do know it works with pain. What we don't know is at what dosages people need to take to get that pain relief.
I feel everybody's body's different, right?
Everybody's body's different. It's like Tylenol, right? If you were to take Tylenol and you're a bigger guy, you may need to take two tablets. I may need to take one to feel the same effect.
Sure.
And what we don't know yet is what dosage someone needs to take to achieve that sort of efficacy with pain relief.
So tell me about your background. So before Vybes, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? What was your first entrepreneurial endeavor, and how did you get to this point today?
Yeah, so I'm from the Midwest, grew up in northern Indiana, and really a family of entrepreneurs. My dad was an entrepreneur in the restaurant business, and he got into manufacturing. So I really grew up, we always had dinner at the table as a family, and really learned life through my dad and his stories about business and work and managing people, and just seeing him create multiple companies in different industries and what he went through. I never fully appreciated it until I got into the role myself,
Never will.
And now I have so much respect for trying to raise a family and having kids and build a business at the same time. And so I feel like it's always very difficult, and I'm single, I don't have a family. So, and I'm like, where do I have the time,
How do I fit them in?
Yeah, exactly. So I can't
swipe right.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the world feels like it moves much faster today than it used to move. And I think that's part of the reason why we're being successful, because people are looking for ways to sort of slow things down a little bit, be more present in their life. But I would say entrepreneurship is just in my DNA. It's my first business when I was 12 years old. I started a landscaping, lawn mowing business. Went to college at Purdue, studied technology, graphic design. When I was at Purdue, I was building websites for local businesses in West Lafayette. Realized at that time that I had a real skill. This is like early 2000s. And then moved down to San Diego.
From Indiana.
From Indiana. I wanted better weather. And
got it.
yeah, I did. But then I came out and moved to New Jersey, and I actually took a really great job working for Merck Pharmaceuticals. So I had some experience in the pharmaceutical industry, and I was basically designing websites for new and up-and-coming vaccines and drugs that Merck was putting out. But wanted to get back to the West Coast, so moved back there. Got a job working for MySpace. I was a product manager for them, which was probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever had.
They were the first to the party.
Really one of the first, yeah, to kind of go big. I mean, at one time, MySpace was the third most trafficked website in the world.
Wow.
I was getting to,
what was the first one, like a porn site?
Google.
Google and then porn site?
I don't know. I think it was Yahoo and Google. Yeah. Just goes to show how long ago this was, right? And no one even says Yahoo anymore. There were only 4
options out
there. Right?
At
least Google's still around.
Yeah.
But it was one of the first times I'd ever sort of moved into a role where I was called a product manager, and I was sitting sort of in the middle of the engineering team and the design team, figuring out like, okay, when people come on MySpace, like what do they do? What would give them, what do they interact with? And that was like my job as a product manager to figure that stuff out and then build it with the team.
So the psychology really behind it.
There's a lot of psychology there, and I love working and making consumer stuff. I love making stuff for people. But what I realized at MySpace was, working in tech was like I had the ability as a young 20-year-old to come up with things that influence people. And not just a few people, but like millions of people. And that was a pretty powerful realization.
So that's your skill set. That's really your gift.
What's that?
Influencing people.
Well, I don't know if I'm influencing people, but I like to think I am. Yeah. But I just like making stuff for consumers. I like making stuff, seeing how they respond to it, react to it. Tech is, what my background was. But then kind of a crazy thing happened. I started a company called RadPad. About 5 years ago, raised $15 million for the company. On paper, had everything that every tech entrepreneur wants. Capital, good fun, investors, a beautiful office in Culver City, a really cool artsy space.
Track record.
Yeah, track record. Working on RadPad was a marketplace for apartments and rentals, and we were trying to collect data and make it easier for people to rent and move. And but then a crazy thing happened. We got into a big lawsuit with Craigslist. It nearly bankrupted the company, and sort of, we had this really...
So you just played, David versus Goliath in that sense?
Essentially, yeah, and it was the most traumatic experience of my life. Here I went from,
Do you have your own personal money invested in it too?
I didn't have any money.
Thank God.
So,
all right.
Well, I mean...
It sucks even more losing other people's money.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's
the worst.
Even if they don't care, they don't mind, do they understand? Going to sleep every night knowing you have other people's money on the line is
100% agree.
Terror.
100% agree. And, fortunately, our investors were institutional funds, so it wasn't like people lost money. And
your average Joe putting up.
Right. We didn't raise money from friends and family. We raised from institutional tech funds that have,
softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right? But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it was painful to think that this company that we had spent all this time building on and our hearts were into it, we'd raised lots of money. We had a lot of people behind it. A lot of people using, 500,000 people were using RadPad at its peak. Was potentially going to go out of business. And fortunately, it didn't go out of business, but something kind of remarkable happened during this time, which is mid-2016. A friend of mine was having dinner, and I were having dinner one evening, and he said, you look like shit. And have you ever... I was like, can you tell?
Yeah.
I was trying to mask it. And he said, I think
we've all been there.
Yeah, and he suggested I try CBD.
Serious? That's where it all started?
That's how it all started. And I was like, well, what is CBD?
Yeah, what does that stand for?
And CBD stands for cannabidiol. And I didn't, it took me a few minutes just to even get the pronunciation right. Mm-hmm. But I was so desperate to try something. He described it in this way. He said, it's like THC, but without the high. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, it helps with anxiety and like just general well-being. And I said, well, where do you buy this at? Like
no
a dispensary?
Hallucination. Yeah.
Right. And he said, yeah, you don't get high from it. And I said, well, where do you get this stuff at? Like a dispensary? He goes, yeah, there, or you can get it in like natural food stores. And that's what kind of was like a light bulb. Like natural food stores are selling this, because I'd never really, I'm not a big cannabis guy. I didn't really frequent dispensaries. Mm-hmm. And so I went to this store called Erewhon in LA. It was a natural food store, and I picked up some CBD oil. And I remember walking in, and Erewhon, if you've ever been in the store, it's kind of like the Barney's of natural food stores. I mean, it's like curated to the T, and everything in there is 4 times more expensive than a normal grocery store. But I mean,
it works.
But it works, right? So I went in there and I went up to this lady that was working the vitamin aisle, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for CBD," and she got really excited, and she took me over this locked box out of thousands of vitamins and supplements they had. The only thing locked up was the CBD oil, and that left an impression on me. I was like, "Why is this locked up?"
Top secret.
Treating it like medicine, really. It was like behind the counter. She pulled it out. She explained to me that it helped with anxiety and pain. It was $160, and I thought that was insane expensive for this little tincture. And I was like, all right, well, I got nothing to lose. I'm desperate to feel better. I'll try it. And she wouldn't even give it to me. She had to go take it behind the register. I had to pay for it first before they'd even give it to me.
Wow.
So I left the store, and before I even got in my car, I was putting the stuff under my tongue, which was kind of different. I wasn't used to putting anything under my tongue like that. And I started taking it, and within a couple of days, noticed a big change in how I felt. I was calmer. The anxious feelings I had in my stomach sort of
the pit
reprieved a little bit. Yeah, that pit, and you feel terrible. You can't focus. You can't think. And I had been feeling that for months. And I started taking CBD oil every day for weeks and months. And at the end of 2016, we were fortunate enough to sell RadPad, sort of put that chapter behind me.
So you did get out.
We did get out. But it wasn't like the kind of outcome, every tech entrepreneur is shooting for. But I came out of this, and I came into 2017. I was so emotionally exhausted from the experience. I was just like, I don't have any energy to do anything right now.
But if that didn't happen, Vybes wouldn't be here today.
100% agree.
If you would have sold the company for $700 million, you would have still been plugging along with the pit in your stomach.
Possibly.
Or dead.
Possibly, But the thing is, I think, my dad always says people, as they get older, they don't change unless something like really remarkable happens in their lives. Drastic, And for me, it was the facing of the loss of my company, laying people off, looking at our investors and saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to return your investment, feeling like I let everybody down, and not really knowing how to pick myself back up and start over again. It was so monumental.
Reinvent yourself.
Yeah. And CBD came in my life at the most opportune time. And when things ended with RadPad, it was really more about me looking inward and saying what was I prioritizing? How was I living my life? What were the things I was valuing? And a lot of the conclusions I came to was I needed to change how I was living. And really, it really came down to well-being. And it was the first time I think in my life I've ever looked inside and said, I don't like how I feel.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah, plenty of times. I think so. To touch on I believe in the universe, and parallels, and I didn't just find this drink, reach out to you, and you're here today because I got lucky or you got lucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a reason for it. So last year, my son was about to be born, and 2.5 weeks before my son was born, I went to go slide in second base in a friend's softball league that was basically doing a favor, playing on the team as a favor to fill in, right? Went to go slide. There was a 6-foot ripped turf on the seam, the infield going into the outfield, into second base. And my cleat got caught in the turf, and my ankle snapped on impact. Literally, I'm talking you heard the click. So, as if you ever hurt yourself or you've been in a car accident or whatever, something tragic, everything slows down. Time slows down. And I remember, as I was falling closer to the ground, it was fuck, I have work. Fuck, I run 4 companies. Fuck, they're all reliant on me. Fuck, my son's going to be born. Fuck, and then just hit the ground, right? And I'm like, shit, obviously I know it's broken. Am I going to need surgery? I don't have health insurance at the time, so I was in dispute with my employer who I was contracted with. So now I'm the whole world is collapsing right in front of me in the matter of a split second. So I wound up having surgery about a week later. A friend's father did me a favor, an orthopedic surgeon who's to this day a blessing. They wanted $49,000 to repair my ankle. He did it for $17,500, which is $32,000. That's a big number, especially with a kid coming in and stuff. He's running 4 businesses. Expenses were $30,000 a month between the businesses and employees and payroll and you name it. And to be honest with you, the 2 things that changed my recovery, CBD, the oil, and cryotherapy.
Cryotherapy. I've done that as well.
Still to this day, those are the 2 things. I wouldn't have been at my son's birth walking 2.5 weeks after surgery if it wasn't for the CBD and the cryotherapy taking all the inflammation and the pain down.
Guys, that's so humbling to hear, and also gives me goosebumps.
Truthfully, right? And again, my whole life, so I always knew I needed to change. I always knew I needed to do something different, right? I was a guy that sacrificed his entire well-being, personally, inside and out, right? Mentally, physically, and emotionally, for the residential mortgage business from December 2007 to age 20 to age 30 in 2016 and a half, 17. I didn't take care of myself. I ate like shit. I hung out with the wrong people. I was kind of like the black sheep, if you will. I'm this young kid who has so much potential, hanging out with people that are much older, that are pretty much defeated. The market's up and down. And I always knew I had to get out, but I never had a way to get out. The money always brought me back in, always pulled me back in, or a client pulled me back in, or a $60,000 potential commission month brought me back in. And when my ankle broke, it's like I got too much fat in my life, on my body, in everything. And I need to go lean. And if it wasn't for my ankle breaking, my podcast wouldn't be up today. My life wouldn't be on the up as it is. Now, people always associate money to like being up. Like, oh, great, you're making $10 million. Yeah, but if you're miserable, you're sucking on the inside, you have that pit every day, that's not living. I would rather make a third and live happy, comfortable, see my son every day and be happy with the right people than make 3, 4, 5 times that amount with just a constant roller coaster. So I think, like what you said, something tragic or something life-altering needs to happen in order to put people on the right path.
Yeah, you and I are lucky to have those experiences. I mean,
at an early age, too.
And at the same time, though, it's not like we'd go back and be like, let's break our ankle again, or let's like have the business fail, right? But it's kind of like, thank God that happened, because it faced us to look inwardly, and it made us like have to, change the way we were doing things.
Well, the worst thing was, so I'm an active person, like still super active. I could be out, I could work 30 hours, out of 30 hours and not even think about it, right? It's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. When you can't walk, when you can't put weight on your ankle, you realize who you're carrying physically, financially, emotionally, and what you're unable to do. So you take an active person that was, doing NFL training workouts, right, to you're on the couch by yourself in your own head, can't move. The only thing you can do is watch TV for 24 hours a day, and your son's about to be born in 2 weeks. So,
wow.
When you look at that, you're like, holy shit, the only thing that I have right now, the only thing is really my mind. And my mind, it's not in a good place.
Yeah.
So, so when you get to that point, it's like you can only look within, because you can't look at, there's 4 walls, a ceiling, and a TV, and you can only hear someone's voice so many times. You don't want to be bothered. You go into depression, you face all these facts, and at the end of the day, again, the only thing that you can explore is yourself, I feel like.
No, I totally agree. I mean, and those are really the moments where you have the time to explore yourself, because your world has slowed down, and I think, honestly, like, as I come across a lot of people share these stories with me, and because, my story, and I think a lot of people are searching for a slower, people don't want to slow down and sit on the couch and be chill, right? But I think people want to be more in the moment. They want to be more present, and it's really hard to do that in the world we live in today, because...
Well, it goes right to your manifesto, right? Your manifesto is, for too long we've ignored the physical and emotional toll that living in this fast-paced, chaotic world has caused to our mind, body, and spirit. There are more demands on us today as human beings than at any other time in modern history, which is causing us to feel more stressed and more anxious. And it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way. But I think for a lot of people, like, you don't even know that until something happens. Correct. And you're like, you look at your life and you're like, wow, I'm not happy with how I was living my life. And then you start asking yourself, well, why am I not happy? What was I doing or spending my time on that's not getting me where I want to be? And where do I want to be? And what does that look like? And for me, that happened with sort of the ending of RadPad for me.
So what actually then got you to kick off this idea concept? Where are you in the stages of the company today? What's your goal and vision, obviously, for the next?
Yeah, if 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, you'd be like, hey, you're making a beverage and selling CBD oil, I would have been like, what? What what is CBD and CPG? I don't think so. I don't know anything about that. I'm a techie. And, the truth is like, I am so much happier making Vybes than I ever was at any other tech company I've ever worked for.
Ever.
And I look, I worked at MySpace during the...
What was the guy's name? Todd?
Tom. He was my boss. And
Serious?
I sat in a room just like we're sitting here right now with him sitting across from me.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's I think he's in Hawaii. He's become a really big photographer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like really great.
He killed it, right?
They all, so there were several of them that did very well. Yeah. But it was just an experience, it was such an amazing experience. But I look back at even that amazing experience and look where I'm at today. And maybe it's, it's being older, it's being wiser, it's being punched and getting back up. And, I'm just more grounded today, and I'm just so much more grateful for every day. I never got up and looked at every day as like a gift, and it really is to get up and just feel healthy, and just feel not anxious is a
Sure.
gift. You know, I mean, really, in today's world, you know, it really is.
I used to wake up, in my heyday, I would have like 30 to 40 active residential mortgages in my pipeline.
Oh my gosh.
From 20 to 30, right? So imagine that's one person. They have realtors, attorneys, title companies, new business coming in, new referrals, past clients. Like I would wake up every morning. And so I tell a funny story. In 2013, I had 5 phones. Five different
phones?
cell phones, because different area codes in New York's funny. Like if you don't have the same area code as somebody, they're probably not going to call you. Truthfully, you have a 212, 914, 917, 718, Jersey's 201, 908. So I'm like, all right, well, as I go and develop this territory, I'm going to get a 201 number. So when I go in here, like, oh, 201, great, okay.
The guy lives nearby.
Yeah,
He's
we're
local.
close. He's local, yeah. Local lending. That's what I always told myself, right? And I would wake up every day. And finally, I consolidated to 1 phone. I just went back to 2 phones literally a week ago because I'm like, I need to have personal time with my son, but I still need to have, my go-to VIPs. Like, if you need me, I got you. The other people could wait. So I'm like, I can't wake up every day. I would wake up, the first thing I would do is look at your phone, and you have 75 text messages, 300 emails. Most of the people that are pissed off wait until like after hours. Like I'll go to bed at 10 and like in the middle of the night you get a stupid email like, why am I not closing yet? Or you wake up first thing in the morning, like 6:50, 3 missed calls from Joe. When's my rate locking? I'm like, dude, like the market's not open yet. It's 6:56 in the morning. So I had to then change that practice every single day for my entire mortgage career. Every single day, nights, weekends, you name it. I would wake up with that pit in my stomach and it would force me to get up. But I couldn't even eat breakfast because I was already sick by the time I woke up.
God, what a horrible way to like live.
And I did it for literally 10 years. And from your 20s to your 30s, you're supposed to be having the time of your life, supposed to be partying. I would go to sleep, wake up, miserable. By the time I got home, it would take me 2 or 3 hours to unwind.
You probably didn't even sleep well.
No, total chaos. Like literally, I'd wake up to pee in the middle of the night, I'd check my phone, and then I'd see a text message or an email or something or a missed call and be like, oh, I might as well just get up, or like I can't go back to sleep. Now my mind's racing, right? And again, truly taking a step back and understanding like people could wait, like not everything has to be urgent. There are fires that have to be put out, but you need to create those boundaries. But you can't go out there and sell yourself that I'm available 24/7 here when you need me and then not be there when they need you.
Right.
So there's that healthy balance that you have to figure out for yourself.
I think that's what it comes down to is balance. And that's what we say a lot, and sort of at Vybes is like it's balance. And that's really what people are looking for. It's like, how do I balance, a job like this with a family, with like my own personal time, and that's what I think people are really trying to figure out right now. And I think CBD is one part of that equation, for people. But it's a reconfiguration of your entire life. You've got to set those boundaries. Like even at Vybes, as the founder and CEO of the company, I have employees. And like, I don't try to bother them in the evenings. I don't bother them on the weekends.
Right.
I mean, unless something's very important, an emergency, because like people need to know that when they leave, they can check out.
Right.
Like that's
in some industries you can, not every industry.
Well, that's true. But so at RadPad, when I was having nearly a nervous breakdown, because of this litigation and
Sure.
fighting with with my co-founders and different things, my brain was like so stressed out, like I couldn't even like think. Overreact, right? And so I was talking to one of our investors who's kind of a mentor, and I said, look, my brain, like I can't focus, I can't think. And he said, you got to think of your brain like a muscle. And if you don't give your brain time to relax, time off, he's like, it's like a muscle. It's not gonna perform.
Well, they say it's the strongest muscle in the body.
Yeah. And
So
so
your heart
that was
rate.
like a light bulb for me though. It was like, wow, you're right. Like, because I do go to the gym, work out. Like, I don't work out the same muscle group every day.
Right.
You need the time for rest,
Yeah.
right? Like, same for your brain.
And not for 10 hours.
Right.
If you do whatever.
And we're not, and most of us today are not giving our brains enough time to relax.
So do you believe that CBD actually gives you that brain recovery that you normally wouldn't get on your own until you train yourself to get it?
Not fully. It's one piece of it, right? It allows me to like calm sort of the anxious energy in my brain to a level that I can like just kind of focus, right? Like my mood improves, my I get calmer, I more focused a bit. But it's also like it's also, there's other things, right? That, that I have to employ to kind of help calm me down. Like,
Sure.
for example, I listen to classical music in the background
They
now.
say it's the same thing. Same calm your brain, relax. Unfortunately, I listen to gangster rap music all day long, so I'm usually hyped up.
Right.
My brain's calm.
Right.
My body's intense. My brain's calm.
But I think it's like, for me, like 2 years ago I was on the classical music, but
Right.
I've learned that like classical music calms me down. So I
Right.
play it in the background, like, in the office or
Sure.
where I'm working or in my home in the morning. The first thing I do is get up and turn on classical music, drink some water. I don't check my phone in the morning. Like I used to get up and the first thing I
Same.
do is look at my phone.
Yep.
Now I actually shower, get dressed, before I even look at my phone. And that alone, like life changing. And what it does then is people, like if you start getting up in the morning and like if you're up like I am around 6:30 and you start emailing and texting people, then they expect that they can reach you at that time. But if they know that you're not coming on until 8:30, then
They wait.
They wait, and I also think that trains them.
Correct.
It's
you
like
train them.
give this person respect.
Yep.
In
He's
their
not going to
mornings.
reply anyway till 8:30.
Exactly.
So,
So why? But I also pay that same respect then to my employees and my customers. I'm not bothering them
Sure.
at 6 a.m.
Sure.
or 9 p.m. at night. So it starts with ourselves, but then I think we set an example for all those around us.
Talk to us about dosages, and obviously people have different body types, and I've obviously explored. I have to see what works for me. So I know one day I think I took I don't even know how much milligrams I took of the hemp extract. I had like the green superfoods that I take.
Okay.
Like one scoop in the morning, one scoop at night. One of these. I had the caramels. I've tried everything. My buddy, and I told you, owns a store in Hoboken, the Green Room. You should go check it out. You actually sell your product there. That's how I found out about you guys through here. I'm like, I love this mission. I got to reach out. That's how the whole story connected. So explain to me, okay, you have an 18 to 30-year-old, let's call it, a 30 to 50-year-old, and then a 50-plus-year-old. That's kind of how I feel the demographic breaks down, right, for influence-wise. 18 to 30, your body's one way. 30 to 50, you're kind of like in that middle age. And then 50 and above, like whether you're 50 or 90, there's still different impacts. So how many milligrams should somebody take of CBD per day, and how should they split up those dosages? Or should you only take it once a day? What's your recommendation?
So Vybes is 25 milligrams of CBD isolate, and our goal is for daily well-being is to drink one a day.
Straight through.
So yeah, we designed them to be very light, as you mentioned. You kind of drank the whole thing quickly. Like we designed them to be like that because essentially we want you to drink the whole beverage so you get the full dosage, right? If it was heavy or thick or hard to consume, like you wouldn't maybe want to drink the whole thing. So, but the verdict is still out, to be honest, on what the appropriate dosage is depending on sort of what you're trying to solve for. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you're older, you may have more inflammation, more pain, more joint issues. You're probably going to need 100 plus milligrams to have relief from there. That's what the science is showing.
100 plus
milligrams.
It's a big number, an expensive number too.
Yeah, it is. And so a beverage like Vybes, you have to drink 4 of these a day.
Yeah, it's $50
just to probably have some sort of relief. And so we've designed Vybes more for people in their and that struggle with like anxiety and stress. And that's something I think that everyone, regardless of your age group,
you have it regardless.
Has. Yeah, exactly. So, and I found that for me personally, like about 25 milligrams is good for me.
For the day?
For the day. I tend to drink though 2 Vybes a day.
Yeah.
And so I take
about
50 milligrams. I do. Thankfully, I get it for a cheaper price. But I tend to drink 2 a day. We raised the dosage. It was originally 15 milligrams. We raised it to 25 milligrams earlier this year. And the reason why we did that is because I believe that 25 milligrams was the right dosage for people to actually get the benefits of it for stress and anxiety.
So it's interesting, again, as I've been playing around, I usually do like a couple days on, change it up, right? Yeah. Mornings, nights, whatever. Obviously, if I'm going into a meeting, whatever. So you'll probably laugh. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before, but I'm known to take pre-workout to work, not work out. Like I take pre-workout, like if I need to get in the zone or write a blog or do whatever, I'll literally take 2 scoops of pre-workout and just go to work, right? That fuels me, gets me going, kind of gets me out of that hump in the morning, if you will. You get up early. Okay, once you take the pre-workout, you're lit. Take a shower and you're out. So I've also tried with CBD, for example. I'll drink one of these before the chaos starts. So then that way I'm already calm going in. So if I know my excitement's going to be elevated, I'll take one of these first. So by the time my level 8 would have been 10, or my level 6 is only at 4. And that actually calms me going into maybe an intense or chaotic situation.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up because I think most people today drink coffee and energy drinks or take pre-workout before work, which kind of biohack themselves because they want that extra energy. They want to get the extra productivity, right? But what they don't like is the anxiety that comes with that, which is what caffeine causes. So I'm hearing a lot of similar stories to yours where people are taking like coffee and adding CBD to it, or taking an energy drink and putting CBD into it. And in fact, in all of our beverages, there's a little bit of green tea, although the strawberry lavender here doesn't have any green tea in it, but there's about 30 milligrams of caffeine in all of our beverages.
Oh, wow.
For that same reason, it's like, here's a little bit of energy,
Sure.
but let's kind of like mellow out the anxious feelings.
So okay, so you can stimulate the brain, but still mellow out the anxiety. That's powerful. That's kind of like a cheat code.
Well, we actually sell a product to retailers. It's a CBD. It's basically our same product we put in our beverages. It's a water-soluble CBD powder, and a lot of coffee shops are buying it to put into lattes and coffees, so customers can get the caffeine without the jitters.
So coming from my residential mortgage background, which I relate everything in life to two things: mortgages and sports, right? Like if you give me an analogy on one of those two things, like we could talk for 17 days straight. And in the residential mortgage business, there are so many pretenders, right? Who's got the big checkbook? I'm coming out, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but there's no substance behind it, right? Same thing in sports. Like, oh yeah, I ran a 4.440, and then you go back and talk to like their coach 10 years ago, and they're like, he ran a 4.740, like why lie? Like you're giving these pretenders out there. And I feel like in the CBD space right now, there have been a ton of pretenders that have flooded the market, diluted the brands. Same thing I'm assuming with drug dealers, like you're lacing your products, you're cutting it, whatever it might be. How do you maintain your integrity and stand out as like the first class elite product in an industry where everyone's buying hemp marijuana stocks left and right, everyone has a CBD hookup? How do you personally combat that?
It is a bit of the Wild West right now, and that's why we're very supportive at Vybes of regulation from the FDA and standardization across the board. One of the things that we've noticed with we were one of the first to come into the market, and we sell Vybes now in almost every major market. So we're really one of the first CBD products that people find on the shelves. And so others that are coming out with CBD products, we've noticed are dosing and pricing their beverage to ours, which kind of tells us that they're watching what we're doing.
So you're setting the market.
So we're setting the market in a way. And one of the things that I've noticed is that, there's been a lot of reports lately of people testing products and the products coming back and not having the right dosage in it, or it doesn't align with what's on the label.
Yeah, the numbers don't have to match with
and so one of the things we've done since day one, and this is something I would encourage anyone to do that's buying CBD products, is we independently lab test all of our products every time we make a new batch, and we publish those lab results on our website. And so a consumer can go find a bottle in the store, match up the expiration date. Fully transparent. And starting this month, actually, on all of our bottle labels, we're adding a lab-tested seal to it. So a consumer can pick up our bottle, know that it was lab-tested independently, and under the lab seal, have a URL to our website where they can go and actually see the actual report, right? And that's something I think is going to become more required.
It should be, though. You're putting the shit in your body. You should know what's going into your body.
That's how I feel about it.
Right?
If I'm going to pick up a product and put it in my body, like I should be able to feel confident knowing that it's actually labeled properly.
Right. And my heart's not going to explode.
Right. And so we're trying to give the market that confidence, and we're hoping that it'll start forcing others. If the FDA is going to drag their feet on regulation, then the industry needs to step up and actually do something to reassure consumers and regulators that these are safe products.
But again, that's the same thing with the residential mortgage business. I'm not sure if you've ever gotten a mortgage. I'm sure
I haven't yet. Hopefully soon.
Okay, so one day you will, right? But you've raised money, you've raised capital, and you've obviously seen VC term sheets, and you know how extensive they are. And like, there's this one line that basically sells your soul to the devil, right? Usually they try and slip it in there, right? They could, right? They basically own you. So I always said with the residential mortgage business, the reason why I stood out was I was fully transparent. But people that were my competitors were never transparent. So I would literally sit with a client, type in the computer your scenario, literally pull up your entire profile, click a button, and it would tell you your rate. I'm not hiding anything from you. I'm like, look, we're logging right into the market right now. Yes, there's margin built in. The bank has to make money. I'm not charging you more. I'm not charging you less. Here's where the market is today. And people were like, I like you because you're showing me what the rate is. So Bank of America might be at 5%, and a little disclaimer, we're charging you a 1% fee. And I'm like, well, look, we're at 5.1%, not charging you a fee. But look, here's the breakdown. Here's the comparison. So I think every industry, especially when it comes to financing, real estate, and obviously health and wellness, what you're putting into your body, it should be fully transparent so you can make the most educated decision. You need that regulation to protect people.
Absolutely, and that's where I think the FDA is really failing us right now, because this industry's exploded in the last year.
Well, it's still new.
It's still very new, and the industry's waiting for the FDA to come out with their guidelines on this. And so we decided, instead of waiting, we're going to do the things we think that they're going to require anyways, and the things that we think are right.
It's kind of risky though, right?
Well, not really. In my opinion, it's not risky. It makes good business sense, because we're essentially educating the market on this product, and I think because we're sort of out front, it's going to cause others to either follow us, and if they won't follow us and start labeling properly, start testing properly, and being transparent with that, then retailers won't carry their products.
So, as of right now, obviously you have to put the ingredients on the label. What else do you see, like ingredients? Strawberry juice, lemon juice, lavender,
erythritol. Yeah, it's a natural.
Like all
sweetener.
this stuff here, I can't even pronounce. If I can't pronounce the word, I probably don't even know what it is. Then organically produced. Are those all like disclaimers that you have to put on there, or are there certain things you can include or exclude?
Yeah, so there's, believe it or not, there's actually guidelines around labeling, and it's that's even kind of a gray area, even though the FDA sort of sets these guidelines. We actually work with a law firm out of Chicago. That's all they do is advise companies on labeling. So they've taken a look at our packaging and our bottling and advise us on what needs to be included and what we don't need to include. But we try to err on the side of including the things that are really important and that matter, especially when it comes to like the ingredients that are in the product. Like by law, we've got to list all the ingredients in that product. What we don't have to do currently is we don't have to lab test it. We don't have to give consumers the ability to see what's in the beverage.
We're doing that above and beyond.
We're doing that above and beyond. It's expensive. We have to do it for every flavor, every batch. But again, I think it's the right thing to do. And if I look at it as like, if I was a consumer and came out and buy this product, and I am a consumer and I do buy this product, like what would I want? And what I want to know is that does somebody tested this and can verify that it actually has the dosage in there and it has the cannabinoids that the product tells you it has.
Do you think eventually humans will be able to be tested and then recommended dosages will be given of CBD? Like, hey, based on this full report, you should take X milligrams in the morning, X in the afternoon, X at night, 3 days a week. Do you think it could be fine-tuned to each
Yeah, I do
person?
think we're getting there. I think there's a lot of research being done right now in hemp and cannabinoids, particularly on CBD. The government's actually sponsoring a science right now.
So they're getting behind it.
They're getting behind it, yeah, and which is great. But it's going to take some time to get those results, but I do think we're on a path to kind of knowing, okay, at this dosage it helps with this, and at this dosage it helps with that. And I do think, just from my own sort of experimentation, that if you're suffering from like chronic pain, 25 milligrams in our beverages is not going to be enough to like show you relief. You're going to have to take 100 plus milligrams. But the price will come down on CBD. I mean, it's expensive right now. The most expensive cost within a product, the ingredient in our beverage is the CBD. That's why it's $8.
It's a big number for most people.
It is, but I think people are willing to spend money on products that are good for them, that make them feel good.
So let's say somebody has a limited budget, right? They can't afford, $7. They can't spend $56 a week, $200 a month on your product. Can they take one every other day and still benefit from it, or should they take one for 3 days in a row and then 4 days off?
I think it depends on everybody. Again, it's interesting. My mom, when she drinks Vybes, she doesn't feel anything. She's like, I really like the blueberry mint. John's my favorite flavor, but I don't feel anything. Yeah. But my dad and I, we really feel it. I never would have gotten into this category had I not felt CBD. To me, it would have been, just another like turmeric. Where it's like they say it's good for you, but I don't feel
really
anything. So for me, and I think for the market, like if you feel CBD, it works, and it doesn't matter what it costs, you're going to pay for it.
So the oil made me feel, I remember the first couple times I took it, and then when I didn't take it until I broke my ankle again. I took it a little bit to just try it, and then I wound off of it and then got back on heavy when my ankle broke, because I had to, no other option. I kind of felt like present, but more present, but like kind of like loopy. You know what I mean?
There's probably a little bit of THC in there.
Is that what it was?
There's by law, by federal law, you can put up to 0.3% of the product can contain THC. That's why we don't put any THC in our beverages.
Right.
There's people that want to drink Vybes and know they're not getting any cannabis in their body. But there's a thought within the industry that it's called the entourage effect. Are you familiar with that? Mm-mm. The entourage effect is basically like the plant produces all these cannabinoids. So in order for the body to like work harmoniously, it needs all the different cannabinoids from the plant. There's no science to back that up. Right. And the people that are selling, it's called full spectrum CBD oil versus ours is CBD isolate. So full spectrum costs more on the market. So it makes sense, right?
It's 4 times more powerful.
Well, that's what they'll tell you, right?
Yeah.
But there's no proof that that's actually true. And the reason why I use isolate is, one, we can guarantee our customers no THC, but also the FDA has approved CBD isolate for children who have epilepsy. It's the most effective form of treatment to prevent seizures. So if the FDA has approved it, a CBD isolate, then you know that it's safe and there's actually medicinal value there.
So believe it or not, my son is a full risk taker. He's 1 year old in 2 weeks today. So
happy birthday!
Thanks, man. He's got balls. I mean, jumping off the couch head first, you name it. Like we throw like the fumble.
He inherited your genes, huh?
Oh, dude, I tell you, mini me. Like I'll throw the football and we'll both run and dive on it. Like I'm gonna fight him to get the fumble recovery. Like that's what we do at night, right? Run all in the living room. And whatever I do, he has to do. Like, forget about it. It doesn't matter what it is, eating, drinking, sleeping, jumping on my head, he'll do it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I give him a little sip every morning of Vybes, right? Doesn't this do anything to him? No. But he feels, he's cool. He's cool because he does it. What's your opinion on getting a 1 or 2 year old a little small sip of it to expose him to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. My brother and his wife just had a baby, and she was asking when she was pregnant if she could drink Vybes, you know. And there's no research that suggests it's harmful. In fact, the World Health Organization came out and have studied this for years and said that CBD is not harmful to humans. Even you think of it like a vitamin, right? Like a vitamin C. You can take 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C when you have a cold, or 50 milligrams, in orange juice. But what I would advise is to talk to your doctor first. And, there's no proof that it's harmful to children. In fact, FDA has approved Epidiolex, which is the CBD-derived drug for children who have epilepsy. So it's actually a CBD drug for children who have epilepsy. Wow. And children as young as 10 years old are taking it.
Wow.
So, but, if it was my own kid, I would want to consult with my doctor.
You wouldn't just give him a sip?
No, I would give him a sip because it's me, but I don't know who's listening, and I don't want to give people medical advice. But if it was my child, I'd have no problem giving him CBD. But if it's somebody else's child, I would recommend consulting with your doctor.
So the big question is going to be: do you see eventually CBD being covered by insurance?
Gosh, I hope it is. I think coming out of my first job out of college was in the pharmaceutical industry. And look, we need pharmaceutical drugs. They treat.
You believe in that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. But I also believe that we're as a society, instead of like dealing with some of the root causes of the problems, it's like a simple
mental issues. You mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like well-being and mental. We're just going to the doctor, and the doctors are overprescribing medications
because they're making the most money.
Yeah, it's a for-profit healthcare system. So obviously, people are going to be incentivized to write prescriptions when they don't necessarily need them. And I think as a society, we have to kind of ask ourselves, is that the right system for us, right? And if it is, then we have to ask ourselves, like, if you do get sick, what is the right remedy? And I think people today, given the opioid crisis, are looking for more naturalized forms of medicine. In LA, where I'm from, it's a big deal. People are looking and testing all kinds of things and trying to biohack their bodies, and they're not using pharmaceutical drugs. They're using naturalized medicine, psychotropics and nootropics, and CBD is just one part of that. I think out of all of the things on the market today, natural CBD has the most potential because we're learning the most about it because it's just something that's in front of us today. But I think as a consumer, like, people are more and more open for the first time to trying non-pharmaceutical, health remedies.
What are all the products that you and your company cover? Obviously, you have the beverage. What else do you have? What else do you offer?
Really, it's just beverage. I believe beverage is the best and the right format for consuming CBD. There's a lot of benefits to consuming a water-solubilized cannabinoid versus an oil-solubilized cannabinoid. So you actually digest it and get more of it into your bloodstream through a water-soluble.
More so than putting it under your tongue.
Yeah, more so than putting it on your tongue. A lot of people tell me they never, when they tried the oils, they never felt CBD, but when they drink our beverages, they actually felt it for the first time.
Powerful.
And I don't think that's because necessarily we have like a better CBD. It's just because the way that the CBD is processed and put into the beverage is through a water-soluble format, and it's just easier for your body to get that into your bloodstream. And that's why I think people feel it more, because they're actually getting, it's called bioavailability. It's like if you take a vitamin, a lot of it, you only get between 10 to 20% of that into your bloodstream.
Because most of the rest of it out.
Yeah. So, but with a water soluble, you get more of that into your bloodstream.
So you think your average person, if they have injuries, aches, pains, whatever, takes 100 milligrams a day, they'll feel completely different?
I don't know if they
or noticeably different.
I think they should notice something, right? Like whether it depends on, like, if you break your leg and you're in severe pain,
Right.
you may need 500 milligrams
Right,
CBD.
right.
But if you have arthritis, and it's inflammation, 100 milligrams may actually give you relief. And I know a lot of people who do have arthritis who are taking CBD, both the topicals and the consumables, and they're feeling relief from it.
So the NFL, I know a friend of mine trains a couple of NFL guys locally, and he said a lot of the massage therapists use, I guess, CBD lotions or oils.
I had a massage on Saturday. I had a CBD lotion.
Do you feel like, is that something that your body absorbs if it's topical? I've tried the CBD cream as well on my lower back when it's been tight, and it works. It's kind of like Bengay.
It's
or
kind of
Tiger
temporary
Balm.
relief, right?
Temporary.
It's
right?
not. It's not like it. And that's the thing, that the first time I ever tried a topical, I have broad shoulders. You can probably tell.
Yeah.
And I had
Were you
a
a
crank in
swimmer?
my neck. No, I wasn't a swimmer actually. I should have been, but I can't swim. But I wasn't a swimmer. I couldn't get up at 5 a.m. and go
Gotcha.
swim
Yeah,
it.
me either.
But I did put some CBD lotion on my neck when I had a crink in my neck, and I'm telling you, within like 10 seconds, like it was like Gumby.
Serious.
Yeah, but it came back, the
An hour later.
no, like a couple hours later, it was still, it got sore again. So I always tell people, if you can feel the topical, imagine what it's doing inside your body.
Do you recommend maybe doing it internal and external?
Yeah, depending on what if you have anxiety, there's nothing really.
No external.
There's no external. But if you have pain, yeah, absolutely, you should be treating it from both sides.
Now, does CBD offer any type of injection? Are people
I'm not aware of any injectables.
I
right
would,
now.
I would
It's all
assume that
all
goes right to
consumables
the
for
spot,
most
right?
part.
Like, so if you have inflammation in your knee and you inject it with CBD, I'm assuming that would
I'm
be
sure
the
that'll
most,
be coming at some point.
It has to be.
I think the challenge right now is getting it into a format that's safe to put into
Gotcha.
an injectable.
Gotcha.
That's a whole different kind of beast.
What about the edibles? Do you recommend the edibles?
Most of the edibles, I haven't tried. So I've tried a lot of edibles, but I haven't tried a lot that have actually like given me like I've felt it.
Sure.
And frankly, like most of the edibles today are like gummies, and so they're not the healthiest. So I try to stick with things that are like a little healthier. And also, with gummies or any type of like food consumable, you put that in your body, and most of it's going into your digestive system, so you're not absorbing a lot of it.
Gotcha. What's your goal? Obviously, you want to grow the company and keep helping people and live a better lifestyle. What's your actual goal of the company?
My goal of the company is sort of like what it says on the label. This is sort of like help people live more presently.
So this isn't a pump and dump.
No,
This is like
no,
a long-term
No,
thing,
I mean,
ride the
if I
wave.
wanted to pump and dump this, I would go out and raise lots of money, and
Market
like some
the
of my
hell out of it.
competitors are doing, and
Yeah.
just go balls to the wall
Yeah.
and try to like spray this everywhere. And like the truth is, like we're trying to do things the right way. We're trying to
Organically.
we're buying from reputable suppliers. We visit all the farms. They have all the documentation. We source, even like with the non CBD ingredients, that we're sourcing like our ginger from Peru, from a Peruvian farm that actually like employs like a whole village.
So it's magical in here.
Yeah, I mean, like we're trying to like do the right things, and fortunately, like we were one of the first in the category, so we have that first kind of mover advantage that's going on for us right now. But my goal is to help people feel better. That's really what my goal is.
As far as sales go, what's your overall goal for sales? Like, what type of volume are you doing right now on a monthly basis?
It's an interesting question.
Probably up and down, I'm sure, right?
No, actually, so I started the company in January 2018.
Oh, recently? I didn't.
Yeah. So it's less than 2 years old. And we did more money in 2018 than I ever made in 4 years at my last company.
Come on.
We raised $15 million.
Come on, really?
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't really raised any money,
Right.
and we employed today 13 people.
So you're lean.
We're lean, but I mean, 13 is a lot of people.
Yeah, when I say
but,
lean, I mean you don't have the 50 people, 7 offices.
Yeah, but like
bells and
we're
whistles.
paying 13 people a really good wage.
Sure.
We're giving them. We just brought in health insurance.
Wow.
And like I'm really proud to start a company and
huge.
not raise lots of money
Yep.
and be able to sort of build it from the ground up. And I think so many entrepreneurs I meet today want to just take their idea and go get investors to subsidize it.
And then fail.
But they don't want to change their life. They still want to drive their
Look at
BMW.
WeWork.
They want, yeah, exactly.
That guy's.
Founders want to.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I think what he did is pretty disgraceful.
He's done. No, I think he's gonna have big.
Yeah, I
problems.
mean, that's greed, right? But I believe you can build a great company today. You don't have to move at 100 miles an hour, and I think consumers feel that. And one of the things that's actually benefited us by CBD sort of being in a gray area still is it's kept the big grocery stores from getting into this yet. And so the only place for us to really play right now is what's called up and down the street, the mom and pops, the independents, the small grocers and bodegas. And that's allowed us to really reach the consumer in a very unique way. You know, when you walk into a little natural food store and you see Vybes sitting there and it's the first CBD beverage you've seen.
Powerful.
It's powerful, right? It's a moment. You know, people don't go to Whole Foods to discover price. They
Sure.
go there to pick up what they need and what they know. And so it's really, I think, it's really great for us to be able to build a brand up and down the street and take our time before we get into a Whole Foods.
So as we close up the episode, we always leave somebody with something to deposit. Deposit, that means deposit one thing to your memory bank, your brain, right? Listen to the whole episode, learn 100 things, but what would you like to leave everybody with that they can implement to their daily basis?
In terms of like their
Life
improving their
advice,
well-being,
business advice, yeah.
I think
Wake up and drink Vybes, whatever.
I think give yourself time to like slow down. You know, I wish somebody that was very successful would tell me that.
Right.
It's okay to slow down.
They tell you keep going, go harder, go harder.
Everybody
push,
wants
push,
to go
push,
harder,
push.
right? They say in order to be successful, you got to work 20 hours
Right.
a day. You got to be up before everybody and keep working after
Not
everybody. You got to be accessible all the time, and that's like wearing us all down like quickly. And like that's not. We only have one life to live.
Right.
You know, how great does it feel to get up every day and not always have something to do? When's the last time you had that opportunity?
I'm with you.
Right?
I get it.
And to give yourself permission to slow down.
Interesting. Well, appreciate you coming out here all the way from LA
Yeah.
for this. I know you're here anyway, and we'll have you back
Thanks,
on the
Jeff.
show. And tell everyone you can visit your website, Instagram. What's the best way to follow you guys?
You know, if we don't post a lot because we think it's distracting to
Yeah.
people. So, but if you want to follow us on Instagram, or that's pretty much the only place we chat is I Drink Vybes with a Y.
And the website.
Is idrinkvibes.com.
And you can use the code deposit that for free shipping, which you were so nice.
Yeah,
to do.
shipping on a 20-pound case
Expensive.
of glass is expensive. It's a
Yeah,
glass
yeah.
beverage, so you're saving quite a bit of money by getting the shipping for free.
Thanks so much for the information on CBD, and hopefully we'll get your sales
Thanks,
doubled.
Jeff.
Appreciate it.